relax, open your ears real wide and say, give it to me straight, doctor, I can take it.
Get the chocks out from under the wheels. Flaps up. No offense, Margaret. Contact. We're off. Brum, brum.
Doctor, doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of loving you.
Oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show. This is it.
Good morning. Gonna ease into the day today. I'm gonna be E-fapping from my other channel. A live paint. Now, the question remains, how am I going to do this and still keep StreamYard open? Well, it's simple. I'm not going to be able to do both. StreamYard is open, but I can't see the chat. So I will likely just rant and ramble while we watch. So this is you see at the top there, quarantine live paint part 3. This is a 24 by 36 linen, not canvas, of a seascape. Normally it doesn't take 3 sessions to do a 24 by 36. It's usually easy, knock one out in just a couple of hours. But I did this live on my my Facebook live stream, live paint. And so, you know, chatting with people. My wife quarterbacks the live paints, so she's usually sitting at the computer reading the comments to me while I work. Taking my old man medicine this morning. Getting ready to ease into the day. I slept in till 6. Hey, I still have that shirt. So this is acrylic on linen, 24 by 36. And I'm not working from a reference here. This is just a scene from my memory at some point. I call the Low Country my home, down the Barrier Islands of South Carolina, and spent a lot of wonderful time down on those beaches. So that's what I'm replicating here. The big old clouds rolling out, the sun rising in the east on a hot, hazy Carolina morning. And I'll pop back and forth and check in with the chat as we move along. Nothing to see yet. Setting up the palette. Where this easel we're looking at is custom built by my stepfather for me to accommodate huge canvases. Well, now it's kind of become my drawing desk back there where I'm doing comic books now. But fear not, I am not done with my painting days. I've been painting forever. At least 30-something years. I can't even remember. Started with oil, found acrylic, and never looked back because the thing that used to tick me off the most about oil was what other people love about oil, that it stays wet for so long. I like, once I put something down, I want it to stay there unless I paint over it. So I had a friend of mine that turned me on to acrylics, and I never looked back. So we're just playing with sparkle on the water here. The area of high interest on this painting is that point 1/3 down and 1/3 from the right where the sun is rising. So we're just kind of making that pop a little bit. Let's see what the chat's got to say. Not a thing, not a thing. See, if I had two monitors, that this wouldn't even be in. This would be no problem whatsoever. I got to get a second monitor going again. So I think I'm going to speed this up. We'll make it double speed. Ooh, I wonder. Okay. All right. And using a mist bottle there to keep everything moist. I remember it was hot, so the drying time is even faster. Got a fresh pot of coffee brewing. Second one of the day. We get up very early around here, but usually I'm working on whatever project I'm working on by now. But I just felt like taking a nice, slow, easy morning this morning. Got up at 5. Enjoyed some coffee. Caught up with some friends' emails. I do know that in my mind I'm recreating a scene from a beach called Hunting Island State Park, which is in the low country of South Carolina. I think Georgia side of the line calls it the Coastal Empire. Always found that a bit pretentious, so in South Carolina we just call it the low country. If you ever had a low country boil, that's what they're talking about. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to start playing with the foreground. The background's almost done. I do go in and soften up the lines on the bottom of those clouds a little bit later. But I want to get the little beach path shot in here. And normally I would just go for broke with a much bigger brush. But because we were passing the time early in the quarantine, I just wanted to go slow, take our time, try to be uplifting and encouraging during those uncertain times when everybody was scared out of their minds. I do say in this one at some point, it's simple. Just wash your hands and don't lick doorknobs. You'll be fine. Uh, it was a sad time. And yeah, it was a real thing. I lost some friends and colleagues uh, to the thing that shall not be named. But at the same time, I don't think shutting the world down was the answer. But that's behind us now. If you're a painter, If painting is your jam, then this is more for you. Painters do ask each other questions. What kind of lighting am I using? I use overhead there, clipped onto the top of my easel, or two CF 5000 Kelvin daylight simulating bulbs. I own slow dry media, so if I want to work it more like oil, I can use that. But typically I don't. Like where I'm at right now on this painting, what I just did down there closer to the water is already dry. So I can go in and lay right on top of that with the next layer if I choose to do so. I love the fast drying time of acrylics. Other people hate it. I love it. No idea what I was saying there. Don't really care. Don't much care what I'm saying right now. So what I'm using, I always use natural bristle brushes. I think this one is hog bristle. Winsor Newton. No, that's a Master's Touch. Which is the Hobby Lobby brand. They have two levels. Student level is their finest touch or finer touch. And then the professional level is the Master's Touch brushes. They're a little bit better in quality. They don't have alopecia. They don't shed bristles everywhere. I'm going to go and refill my coffee while you guys watch. In order to refill coffee, you have to take the mug with you, Christopher. See if I can pull YouTube up on my phone and see comments if and when they come in. Yep, I can see the chat. All right, Black Hat is here. Born in Greenville Memorial Hospital, lived in South Carolina until the age of 12. Had to quit painting and get a real job because of running out of paint. I hear you, brother. Hey, Piper, good to see you, buddy. Rick Piper's here. Says hi. Black Hat says, started with acrylics, but it ended up seeming too plastic, so I switched to oil. I like the results better, but the drying time between layers is tedious. Yeah, which is why I switched. Acrylic has a good feel to me. If I treat it like oil, if that makes sense. I don't cut it, thin it. I don't try to go for those watercolor effects. I like to just chunk it on there. Because this that I'm painting here is a morning scene. It's going to be a little softer, so I am knocking the edges off of the stuff, doing a little bit of blending. Typically, when I'm doing a vivid light scene, you don't do any blending. It's just raw paint laid down in unblended brush strokes. But I hope you guys are having a good morning this morning. Hey, Bone, good morning. No happy little trees this morning. We're doing a seascape. This is a painting I did when the quarantine first started. It's part 3 of a 3-part series. I was saying at the beginning, it doesn't take me this long to do a 24 by 36, but it was more of this was my effort to try to kind of bring some comfort and peace during uncertain times early on in the quarantine. So I took it slow, did it in 3 parts, just to doing it live on my Facebook live streams, live paints, to engage with the chat over there, which is different. Facebook, I think I have around 1,000 friends on the friends list. And we would have a pretty good mob of folks watching. The wife would read the comments to me while I work. She's sitting behind me where I'm sitting now here today at the computer. And we just have coffee and cut up and while I paint. And I felt like just easing into today. So I thought, you know what? I'll E-fap myself. I'm pretty sure I won't give myself a copyright claim. Hey, Manicord, good to see you, my friend. We haven't had the opportunity to speak in quite a while. I hope things are going good for you. I have been watching your game streams and enjoying them. You guys haven't yet, get over and check out Manicore on YouTube. And all you guys have wrenches. If you got links you want to drop them. This is double speed. Because I have no idea how long I'm going to stream this morning. I just wanted to have some coffee with you guys and wake up and ease into the week. It's going to be a busy week for me. My goal is at least 4 more pages in a damn dirty thing. So I found a YouTube channel last night that with no commercials plays the old classic movies. I watched Father Goose last night with Cary Grant and loved it. I'd forgotten how fun that movie was. I am a big fan of old movies. Black Hat says, I was doing good making paintings for the wealthy local drug trafficker till he got busted. I have several collectors, and I'm not going to lie, more than one of them has reached out to me and said, you know, you haven't done a live paint or you haven't been posting paintings. What's going on? And I have to tell them I'm making comic books. Oh, I see my buddy Rex just went live. So good morning, Rex. One of my collectors, Black Cat, is the owner. He's very elderly now, and he and his wife, who passed away, have the largest private gallery east of the Mississippi. Over 800 pieces of art in his mansion that he lives in, and I mean, he's got Monet, he's got some Renoir, he collects a lot of the great living artists like William Intrican, who is a friend of mine, a fantastic painter, Mark Chatov, Glenn Ray Tudor, a lot of the famous living artists. And I'm proud to say he has 7 of my works hanging in his gallery. He found me. He loved my stuff. He became an avid collector. As he's gotten older now, he has a curator for the gallery, and they slowed down on purchases because the place is full. So now they're looking at really curating the collection. You know, let's put on display the very best work. So in one room, the famous masters are hanging. That's the Monet and the Renoir and the other famous ones he's got. And then he has several galleries for the local, not local, the prominent living artists, and I'm in that gallery. And then just various ones he's collected from around the world or elsewhere. He's got an Oriental room. He has an Impressionist room. That's where I'm at. He has a Hudson River room, etc. It's portraits, landscapes, you name it. And you could get lost in that place for hours. It's like going to a fine art museum. The only thing in your mind when you're painting stuff like this is contrast. It's spelled like passage, but it's passage. It's light against dark, dark against light, to create that visual texture. So that's all I'm really focusing on here. You know, got my color palette already mixed up, and I'm working wet into wet to get the little dimples in the sand, and then we'll come in and we'll do the pathway. I think that's the order I go in. Yeah, we start cutting the path here. Yeah, Black Hat, post some of your paintings, man. I would love to see them. So I did get asked more than once, you know, why stop painting and start doing comic books again. Now I did comics in the 90s. I worked for some little nothing companies. It wasn't like I was with Image or Marvel or DC, just in the small press. Indie movement before there was an indie movement, if you will. So when the quarantines happened, the fine art market just dried up. Everybody was hoarding their money, and who can blame them? You know, everybody was scared to death. They didn't want to spend their money frivolously, and let's face it, you know, if it's food or fine art, you're going to choose food. So one evening, I had found Ethan's channel, and back when he was doing how-tos and tips and whatever, and I just happened to check in one day, and he was live streaming. So I super chatted him, and I said, you know, I wish there was a Comicsgate type thing for fine artists. And he actually pulled up my website and looked at my art. He had Billy Tucci and Artie Bear on with him, and they oohed and awed over my art. And I was very flattered. And Ethan said, you know, I don't know what to tell you, man, but come make comic books with us. And it was like a jolt. I sat back and I went, I know how to do comic books. So I jumped back in. So thanks, Ethan. I don't call him Uncle E because I'm 10 years older than he is. He can't be my uncle. Black Cat says, I live in the boondocks. Only hick art is popular here with the locals. The drug guy who bought my stuff was Italian Mafia. He'd buy my stuff for hundreds and sell it in Chicago for thousands. Wow, right on. Hey, good morning, Carrie. Good to see you, and thank you for the compliment. I hear you. I rarely do commissions with paintings because of that very thing. it's kind of the yeah, smirk in the ear, the reason you're here. Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad, say whatever you want about Ethan. He has brought a diverse population of people together. Thank you, Manicore. Um, I forgot what the hell I was going to say. Oh, it's the equivalent of being in a metal band and having somebody say, play Freebird. They're like, will you paint my boat? Will you paint my, and they always want you to paint their dog, their cat, their horse, and I don't do pet portraits. I don't do commission portraits. Uh, the way I would do commissions and still do with paintings, you can say to me, hey, I'd like a seascape or I'd like a landscape, morning, evening light, whatever it may be. And I'll paint that. But if you hand me a photo of your children playing on a beach and say, paint my kids playing on a beach, I'm not going to do it because I didn't make your children ugly. If I paint them as they are and you go, well, that's ugly, well, that's how they look. I'm sorry. I just don't want that kind of stress on me of having to fulfill someone else's expectations, especially if their expectations are wrong. Oh man, the coffee is so good this morning. And I'm so glad to have you guys hanging out with me. Just kind of taking a little trip down memory lane here. It was about here I decided, I need to decide which side of this path is light and which side is dark. So I'm kind of playing around with it now to see what I want to do. I was really liking the right hand side of the path. And I think here my thought is, if I'm going to make some whitish or light caps on this path, I got to darken the underside of it. But I don't know because I wasn't really thinking. I don't consciously think when I'm painting from my imagination. I just let the brush go. I let it do what it wants to do. I do know this. I've talked to several YouTube painters, and we all have the same kind of thing where when we're watching someone else paint, it's like armchair quarterbacks with football. It's like, why are you doing that? No, you need to do this. Flip that brush over. Even if I watch like an old Stuart Davis or Bob Ross or Bill Alexander, I'll yell at them. No, it was fine. What are you doing? Don't do that. So yeah, here we're putting in the little dimples in the sand. I hope everybody had a nice weekend. Not a close friend, but a friend who was in the fine art community. He passed away 2 days ago. It's the second one from that community in a week that passed away. Very sad. He was a young fella. He was only in his 40s. He had cancer. 2 weeks ago, he was posting on Facebook and being his normal self. And he went to the doctor and things were looking bad. They put him into hospice and he was gone 3 days later. It's just amazing to me how quickly things can change. But sooner or later, we all go that way. I'm just not in a hurry to get there, though. I got a lot of stuff I want to do. I got books to finish. I remember I was saying, and Manicore will probably remember this. I was saying You know, when I finish Blood and Mud, man, I'm going to paint for a month. Not even going to look at a piece of Bristol board and do pages. I was wrong. Storytelling is infectious. So I think it would be safer to say I'll go back to full time painting when I am done with the Pariah trilogy. I think I'm refilling my coffee here. Or something. Who knows? I used to tell my wife, hey, tell them that one joke you know. I got to go get coffee. Yep. Yeah, I got to get it out of my system for sure. Now, I do remember it was along about here I started to vividly remember uh, Hunting Island, which this is a painting of, is eroding at a visible rate. That is to say, that you can see it day by day. And there's a lighthouse on the island that has been moved 3 times because the island is eroding. And they have finally begun to do some kind of preservation for the beach. It's called a growing, like the growing in your crotch. Uh, they've got them going out because the Port Royal Sound dumps out on one side of it and the Beaufort River is on the other side. So it's always being eroded, but then every time there's a storm, it gets worse. So anyway, this path uh, reached a place where it was underwater at high tide, and the beach used to be several hundred yards further out. So that's when I began to vividly remember, oh yeah, this should be wet and kind of, it's not swampy. It's, salt water, clean salt water, but it's very wet. So kind of wanting to play with that a little bit. Ah, coffee. Good doc. Good doc. Cheers. I'll drink some with you. I do recall I did this same general scene from a different island, from Tybee Island, that's in Georgia, to the south of Hunting Island, with a pier and just silhouettes of people on the beach at sunset versus sunrise. And it was, in fact, a commission, and it fetched a pretty nice price. But Black Hat, I'll say this: you talk about living in the boondocks. The internet is our marketplace. You're not limited to where you live like we used to be. I've sold works and shipped them out to Okinawa, Brazil, Australia, and Italy. Nothing to England yet, strangely enough. To Canada, and then all over the U.S. All right, now we're going to play with the sky a little bit more, trying to soften that edge. Yeah, the right hand side was sloping downward as opposed to the left hand side. So we're putting a little balance over there, shaping it in. Painting like this is a lot like sculpting with clay. You know, you put it there, you take it away, you put it there, you take it away. People say, are you mixing paint right on your tabletop? Yes. Yes, I do. I use a palette, but the palette I'll get it so dirty with mixed colors and lose what I'm after, so I'll just mix it right there. I mean, it's a purpose-built easel. That's what it's for. There's probably 1,000 paintings that have been done on that thing. So when I was painting diligently, it's a painting a day, sometimes 2 a day for years. So yeah, thousands is not hard. We wanted to get a little more of that sunlight color up in the clouds. And I'll be honest, guys, I could I could sit and paint nothing but clouds all day. I love doing it. There's so many different ways to do it. I have videos on my fine art channel if you want to get over there. There's more than one that are just clouds, showing how to paint different skies, different types of clouds, different approaches to it. Hey, Matt C. Yes, they are happy clouds, and I'm a happy fat man when I'm painting clouds. Hope you're doing good this morning, Matt. Matt, of course, is a great artist in his own right, and I'm very pleased that he was the colorist for the A and B covers for Pariah, Blood and Mud. Just a super talented guy. I don't know that I ever sold this painting. We've got a guest room here, and there's just stacks of paintings in there. I think this one's in there because I never even marketed it. Black Hat says, yeah, the doors are finally opening. In the 80s, I had a feeling something like the internet would be here someday. I wish I could have made it without that. But with saboteurs and swindlers, yeah, listen, baby, I hear you. I hear you. I got canceled, Black Hat. You might not know that story. I've told it before. I got canceled from the fine art community that I started. I stood up. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It's over. So I got canceled from the fine art community that I started. I stood up the only high-end fine art market between Atlanta and Savannah, and recruited only the very best artists. At the same time, I started an art movement that had hundreds of artists doing exhibitions. I got my local town to start doing a second Saturday art walk, wherein artists didn't need a permit. They could just set up on the sidewalks and sell their art, do live paints, commissions, whatever. So I did all that single-handedly. And then I got canceled because I was gatekeeping. Well, what they meant by that, a curator's job at a gallery is to say no. No, you cannot puke on a canvas and call it art. No, you cannot just lay some scribbles down on a piece of notebook paper and put it in a dollar store frame and expect me to hang it in a gallery. So I got canceled. Now, exactly as I predicted, the gallery went out of business. No one is doing the second Saturday art walks anymore. And the art association that I started went tits up. So right back at you, assholes. Let's do another one. What do you think? Find a painting here. Let me see what this one looks like. Oh, let's do this one. This one is kind of a painting demonstration for absolute beginners. And we'll keep it at double speed and just rock on through this thing. So this was inspired by all those license plates and T-shirts you saw back in the 80s, Miami Vice type stuff. I thought, you know what? I had someone ask me, could you do something that's just for beginners, not even intermediate? I was like, yeah, sure. So you'll see how easy this one is. Black Hat says, my mom's husband was a vagrant bum with a business degree. Ugh. I supported them, let them live with me. When he got an offer to manage a business in Chattanooga, I bought his interview suit. Oh, and I see where this is going. So you just lay on these bands of color and then you're just going to blend them together. And I'm using, by the way, a chip brush. The cheapest brush you could possibly buy. I kind of went on that kick because I teach art at an art academy and had a student say, I can't afford the good gear. So I went to the hardware store and bought a 75-cent chip brush and did several paintings to show that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you use. John Lennon said, I'm a musician. Give me a tuba. I'll get you something out of it. So that's kind of the mindset I was going for here. But you can see already kind of that Miami Vice license plate. Anybody old enough to remember the 80s will instantly recognize this scene. I'm going to go break up that hard line right there. Let the brush empty itself out. And then you just reverse the process. You reverse the colors. I could have been an artist in Chattanooga and they had 2 extra rooms sitting empty. I asked, and the answer was that those 2 rooms have to stay empty in case Brian's kids visit. Oh, man. Black Hat, man, I feel you. I feel you. Carrie says, UK papers this week. A guy spent 15,000 pounds to become a realistic looking collie dog and made his first outing this weekend. I saw that, Carrie. All right, first of all, it is a damn realistic looking costume. And If you were just doing it as a costume, cool, but this dude thinks he is a dog or he wants to be a dog. So yeah, that's a little freaky. What else you got from the world of the UK, the bizarre world over there? Man, of course, says, I wonder if he craps in the corner and humps his owner's leg. The answer is probably. So, if you are a beginner and you're interested in painting, I've got several tutorials for beginners over on my fine art channel. This one's only a few minutes long. So then you just go in. I don't use black when I paint. So this is always my darkest dark. I make it with phthalo blue and raw umber. I miss that Hawaiian shirt. It died. I used to have a huge collection. Oh, there's my empty wine glass over there from the night before. Coffee until 3 or 4. Then we switch over and either have a little bit of brandy or some good vino. So what I'm doing here is I'm establishing the bright spot, which will be on that right 1/3. Don't ever like to center things in paintings. That will cause the the viewer's eye to not move through the painting, and it comes across as kind of dead. So we use the rule of thirds. All right, and then this is kind of the trick for the beginners. You're just going to shoot in white or yellow behind what you're doing so that when you lay in the dark, it puts a glow. So we're just going to be doing some palm trees here. And I did that wrong. I shouldn't have started at the bottom because I might have grabbed that dark color and pulled it up into the sky. And while it's not going to break anything, it would have created more work for me to go back and fix it. And that'll make sense here in a minute. So yeah, we're getting rid of that because we want silhouettes. My son had just moved into his new house. Yeah, somebody sent me some Bob Ross stuff. It was a keychain that would say, and I still have it, but it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't speak. Maybe there's a happy little tree. Just shooting in some detail for the sake of detail. Or as Stuart Davies says, it's the illusion of detail because you're not really detailing anything. They're just shapes. The magic of painting, they're just shapes. Shapes made out of color. And it is an entirely different discipline from drawing, particularly drawing comic books. I had forgotten how, and I hesitate to use the word tedious, but it is tedious doing comic books. This is a 16 by 20 painting, and it's small. That's the smallest I paint, but it's bigger than the whole page of a comic book page. In a comic book page, it's not 11 by 17 that you're working with. It's the little panels within that 11 by 17. It might be 4 by 5 or 6 by 3 or whatever. And you've got that little bitty space to convey something visually versus the freedom of a big old canvas where I can just chunk paint around and do what I want to. You see, I'm holding my arm at arm's length and just shooting the paint onto the canvas versus sitting down with your face pressed up against a little piece of Bristol board, drawing the minutia of a comic book panel. So very different disciplines, but art is still art. So it's all about composition, balance, contrast. I think we were talking while I was live streaming here. We were talking about parachute pants and mullets and muscle shirts and Miami Vice. Yeah, you got to be able to tell the story sequentially, and it's not an easy task. You're correct. All right, so the payoff on this painting is what I'm doing right now. You just go in with that darkest dark, and you repaint. Now, normally, I would have let this dry and put the dark in over the top of it, but because it was live and I wanted to hurry up and get the result, you just shoot it in on top, which means you have to reload and use a lot more paint to get the same effect. But you leave that outline of the light behind the trees, and it looks like a silhouette, a glowing silhouette. Very easy to do, gimmicky. This is the kind of stuff you could stand on a beach and sell to tourists all day long. $20 a pop, $50 a pop in this economy. And the lovely thing about painting is you don't really have to be careful. You can't screw it up. If you do something wrong, you just paint over it. And if worse comes to worse, you get out the gesso and you paint over what you did and you start over from scratch. Like Stuart Davis says, nobody's going to die. It's just paint. And hell, it's acrylic paint, so it's not even toxic. I've got a friend, Chris Hernandez, who does acrylic live paints also. And for his students, he will actually sip his own paint water, which is disgusting. I've done it. It's nasty. I didn't do it on purpose. I did it on accident, thinking I was going for my coffee, which is why, by the way, you see that big coffee bucket. That's why I switched to using those instead of little mugs. Because I'm not going to pick that big old bucket up and sip out of it. Yep, we're about done here. Blah, 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 blah. Thanks for watching. Manny, what time is it over in Australia? Thank you, Manicore. Appreciate you. Let me get this off my phone because YouTube will burn a battery down. Oh, almost 10 p.m. over there. And it's winter for you guys. How was the weather over there? Because it's hot as shit here. Yes, it's 9:43 p.m. tomorrow. Yep. So anyway, that's all I got for you this morning, boys and girls. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you for helping me ease into my day. These pages won't draw themselves, so let me get to work over here. You can look for updates over on Twitter, Doc Blaylock 8404. You can subscribe to my fine art channel if you want. There's nothing happening over there, but you can certainly get over there and watch a lot of how-to videos. I don't think I have anything expert level over there. Everything is tutorials or vlogs for beginners or intermediates. And of course, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel for comic book stuff, Doc Blaylock. Head on over to Dark Gift Comics. The link is in the description to sign up for A Damn Dirty Thing, a noir book. And you'll get a discount code for the book. And you'll get when you later back the book, you will get an exclusive trading card by Tanner Hurley. So, yep, that's all I got for you. Hope you have a great day. God bless.